right, good afternoon. So I've chosen the slot between you and drinks, refreshments, the toughest slot, but I'm happy to be here, and I know that there'll be people viewing this online, so excited to have this opportunity to tell you a little bit about my company, Snagajob. Don't let the quirky name fool you. We're a serious company on an important mission. Essentially, we have a platform that is helping hourly workers find right fit work to maximize their potential and live more fulfilling lives. And we, as a company you may not have heard of, are actually surprisingly large. We're the largest marketplace today for such hourly workers. There's actually 45 million lightly skilled hourly workers in the US. About turning over once a year, so that means 45 million hires made each year in the US, and therefore probably only 10 to 15 people looking for that kind of work in any given month, and we touch more than 10 million of them every month. So that means that every day more than 1 in 2 people looking for lightly skilled work are using our platform. One of the major areas of conversation for the last few years has been on the recovery and the slow pace of recovery, and generally on unemployment. But less focus has been on unemployment. And we see this as really the greatest challenge of our age. The number of people now who are employed either for less hours than they would like, below the salary they would like, below the skills that they have to offer. These are the underemployed, and they represent still more than 10% of the population. So this is today the challenge, especially in an age where technically unemployment is down at 4.4%. Underemployment is really the opportunity. And we think underemployment is caused by a lot of inherent inefficiency in the marketplace. There's a lot of problems today with how people find work. Even in this time and this age of only 4.4% unemployment, it's still taking, on average, 25 days to find an hourly job, and it's taking businesses on average 25 days to find an hourly worker, which just makes no sense. In this day and age, the age of on-demand, the age of the phone being your remote control for life, it makes no sense that it takes this long. And not only does it take a long time duration-wise, but it takes an awful lot of effort. And to illustrate this, we actually interviewed a number of job seekers about just how this process works and how painful it is. And I'd like to just play this brief video for you now.
So as a manager, I find some challenges in when we're bringing on new hires for customer service or hospitality. Just getting to know who they are.
It's generally frustrating all around searching for jobs.
You might see some work history, you might see some different experiences or college or classes they've taken, but you don't really get to know the person, their hobbies or interests, what motivates them.
Number one thing I hate, online applications. Online applications are the most informal, I would say, way of directing people into a black hole.
I like doing things face-to-face, like meeting people, and doing things online. I feel it's so easy to be overlooked.
Because I got to see so many people to get to that 1 or 2 people that we're looking to hire.
sometimes I'll apply to like a lot of jobs online, but I'll never get a response, but they still have an opening available. So it's just, you know, that miscommunication that really makes things frustrating for me.
But I would much rather them just be upfront and be like, no, you're not the right fit for us.
When you don't have employers applying back via email or via phone call, it's really, again, it's frustrating and it's kind of demoralizing because you're kind of just in this kind of limbo where you don't know what's going to happen.
You know most likely, at least what I feel going into time when it's like apply online, that I'm not going to get that job.
Wow, that's that always sends shivers down my spine. You know when you apply online that you are not going to get that job. That's really a damning indictment. And I've talked to thousands and thousands of job seekers now, and it's a common refrain that the process is broken. We have taken a paper-based and antiquated process, and we have simply paved the cow path. We've taken a lot of these paper-based forms and assessments and tests, and we just put them online, and in doing so, we've made it much easier for the employer to view them and ignore them, and we've made it no easier really for the worker in so many cases. So what do workers want? We get to do a survey every year. It's a fun thing we do. Once a year, we survey over 1,000 employers and many thousands of job seekers. And we ask them, both sides, what they want. What are they looking for? What do they value most? And we watch that and we trend it over time. And what's interesting is that every year for the last 10 years, getting the hours and the flexibility becomes more and more important. Yes, pay is always number one. It has always been number one in this segment. But beyond that, it's a short commute, which is governed by location, and it's getting enough hours and not too many hours. Interestingly, if you take the too many hours and the not enough hours, there's 85% of people who say that is most important to me. And so it's not that surprising then that a growing number of workers who are working in the traditional economy are looking outside of it. A very large client of ours came to us the other day. It's a top 5 grocery chain. And for the first time in years, they're actually starting to lose workers to the gig economy. There's people who are taking a pay cut, maybe 20, 30% less. They're losing benefits, they're losing security, but they're doing it in return for the freedom and the flexibility that they get by being able to just open their device and find work where and when they want it. And initially this started out just as an augmentation, but more and more it's becoming a trend. This rise of on-demand, we're just at the very, very early chapters of. I think everyone knows that it's a tsunami. It's going to take the world by storm. The world of work as we know it is going to change. It's already very big though. If you look at the number of people who've actually participated in the gig economy, you see it's been growing every year and it's already a substantial share of the American population. It may surprise people to know that in fact there are already in the US today 80 million workers who are paid hourly. So out of about 130, 140 million in total, 80 million are paid on an hourly basis. And that number continues relentlessly going up. So what's the solution? It sounds like I'm being very negative about a lot of these problems, but I do have a belief that there is a very bright future here, that there is a great opportunity, that technology can play a major role in really rebuilding this cow path that we've paved and creating a superhighway that really accelerates the whole process of getting work and collapses the time that it takes to get a job from weeks to days to hours and indeed even minutes. And we set out to imagine what that would look like. And here at Snagajob is what we created. Have a little. So there you have it. My kids tease me that it looks like the trailer for a rom-com, but this is actually all technology that's working today. Everything you've just seen is something we have and is working in stores today. So the ability to create a profile in just a matter of minutes from your phone, to take a personality assessment just by swiping on photos, to claim experience just by selecting from a map locations where you've worked, and then select from a list of shifts, pick from those shifts, apply, if needs be, chat, interact with the employer, potentially video chat if they prefer, and then walk in, check out, rate, and get paid. And the opportunity to do this is here and now. The technology's there. We already have this running with a number of clients, and it is really, truly transformative. It's transformative for the workers, giving them the work when they want, where they want, with the power of their phone, when they have a slot, when they have availability, looking for work that's available right now. And it's transformative for the employer, who can find people who can sort of take back control of their business, who can do what they love to do, which is run their business and not be wrestling with keeping their roster filled. It may seem a little far-fetched, especially for some of the bigger chains to be interested in this concept, but imagine you are a sandwich artist working at a Subway today. That's what they call them, sandwich artists. And you are making sandwiches for one Subway, but you are working at a Subway where they've capped you, and you can only do up to 25 hours a week. He's got a small roster. He gets to qualify and not have to worry about benefits that way. And so now you're a worker that you may want more. You may want 40 hours. You may want 35 hours, but you don't have that ability because you're capped. You would actually have to go and apply and get a whole new job. Even if you wanted to go to another Subway down the street, you would have to go and apply, reapply, go through the whole process again, just as if you were somebody walking in off the street. So you can see the potential there for just a much more liquid market of people moving from location to location, being able to pick up work. And then if we get better and better at having a taxonomy of these jobs so that we know the degrees of separation from a Subway to a Potbelly to a Jimmy John's, and we know what qualifications are required to go from one job to another job, and present those as little credits or tutorials that you can take so that you can make more work available to you. I think you can see the potential for this to be really far-reaching. So I just want to finish really by saying a few words about our company, sort of a little bit of a shameless plug about who we are. I mentioned at the beginning we're the largest marketplace for this kind of work. Think restaurant, retail, and hotel work. We actually work today with millions and millions of job seekers. We actually have over 80 million job seekers as members of our network. We get 1 million new members every month coming to our app or our site to create a profile, taking the assessment, and then we work with tens and hundreds of thousands of employers. In fact, 1 in 4 restaurants in the United States are active customers of ours, 1 in 6 retail stores, and 1 in 8 hotel chains, hotel locations. So we actually have a pretty big footprint. You're probably wondering, well, how is it this company I don't know very much about is so big? Well, it's because our core demographic here is 16 to 24. In the 16 to 24 demographic, when asked what tool you would use to find a job, our name was mentioned 3 times more often than LinkedIn. By the numbers, mentioned some of these already to you. 60 million job seekers used us last year alone. 10 million active unique users, where our app is in the top 5 in the App Store at any given time. But actually the number I'm most proud of here, we got over 5 million people hired last year. If there's 45 million people in the lightly skilled job sector, that's about 15% of those hires are made through our platform. And then we work with the who's who. 50 of the 50 top restaurant chains in the country are clients in some form or other. More than half the major hospitality brands and about half of the major retail brands. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you this afternoon and sharing a little bit about our company and our vision for the future and the power that this technology brings. When you merge job tech with ed tech and you create a platform that's compelling, that connects workers with employers, we think it really is truly transformative. We're excited to partner with many companies to do just that. So with that, I will open it up and thank you and see if there are any questions. I think I have a couple of minutes remaining. Please. Oh, we need the mic because there are people who are recording this, so thank you.
What's the range of hourly pay for the jobs? What's the average, and how has it changed over the past few years?
Yes, great question. So certainly a lot of jobs are minimum wage. They tend to average somewhere in the $10 to $25 an hour range. And the trend has been steadily upwards, not surprisingly. We see pretty rapid progression over the last 5 years. So there's a good trend there. The other thing that I would point out is we do this annual survey of workers and employers, and it's very interesting plotting and correlating the responses from both sides. There is a startling consensus on the need for raising a minimum wage, to the point now where 90% of our employers believe that the minimum wage should be raised.
Really?
90, that's not 19, but 90%. So nearly 100% of workers and 90% of employers feel that a minimum wage should be raised.
Do you know what the percentage increase has been for the average wage over the last few years?
Well, so the industry data would say not much. It says, you know, in the 2 to 3% range. You know, I think.
But don't you have internal data on the placements?
Our data would suggest that it's moving faster than that, and not really sure why that is. You know, it might have something to do with the fact that there's all sorts of interesting dynamics going on in the market now where a company will have more workers even though they have the same number of hours. And you know, that of course is an unintended byproduct of ACA, and so you've got people who are ballooning their rosters, therefore there's more hires getting made, there's more turnover. And so I think some of the averages are losing some of the bigger picture here. Our sense is that wages are clearly on the march. But you know, not as much as we'd like, and not as much as a lot of people would hope for, and we think, you know, that technology is the big reason for that. That you know, it's both enhancing productivity but also acting as downward pressure on wages.
Are there any kind of programs to pool benefits for these workers? Are they getting adequate benefits?
Yeah, great question. So you know, this is the one big problem we have in America with our system of benefits. It is very hostile to this type of work, and it has created a huge problem where people are being squeezed out of benefits. So we are definitely championing the concept of portable benefits. And we're partnering with a number of other companies on trying to spearhead this and work together. But it's going to take a lot of companies. It's not just one company that can do this on its own. But in the meantime, we are actually working on a program for our own workers where we will contribute to a fund that they can take with them. You know, from job to job. So we're working on our own patch, our own Band-Aid, but there's definitely a lot more work that has to be done.
Thank you.
Time for one last question.
Hi. I work at a company called Stellar Employ, and we connect job seekers in the W-2 hourly space to their best fit jobs. Many of our clients are former Snagajob users, and what we're seeing from our clients is that they are willing to pay more when they can be certain that the people they're hiring are more likely to stay, because of, as you've mentioned, turnover is a really big problem. But we're not seeing a big demand for an increase in the minimum wage, and I was just curious if you could elaborate on why you believe the employers that you're working with are supporting that as a national policy as opposed to just internal policy.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it has to do with you know, we're very big in QSR and fast casual. They are in a very fine margin business where they are fighting it out for pennies on the dollar. They have to be super efficient and aggressive with their practices, and you know, I think they like the idea of all being on a level playing field rather than having to unilaterally raise their wage, but fall prey to the other burger place just down the road that doesn't. So I think it's a function of that. You know, I was really struck by the recent Yelp story where they did a study based on their own platform of how customer reviews were directly linked to wages and to employers that paid higher wages. So I think there is a real role for data here, that data can share much greater insights. And I do think these platforms can provide greater trust. We already see it today, you know, getting into a car with a stranger, we're going and staying in a house with a stranger. So I think these platforms provide an opportunity for people to be willing to take on workers maybe at a higher rate, where they might not otherwise have been willing to do so, where you had to sort of earn your reputation. You can walk in day one with a reputation. So I think that's a really exciting trend too. So with that, I'm going to have to end here, but thank you very much for your interest. I appreciate it. Thank you.